Welcome to the Surgical Edge podcast for surgical insights, reviews, discussions, and to stay updated. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're opening up the hood on a procedure that every general surgeon knows by heart.
Or at least they think they do.
Exactly. We're talking about the hepatobiliary system, and specifically why the whole idea of a routine cholecystectomy is, well, it's pretty much a myth.
It really is. It's the one procedure where confidence can be your biggest enemy. We tend to think of anatomy as this fixed, reliable map. Liver here, gallbladder there, connect A to B.
Right.
But the hepatobiliary system, it just doesn't care about the textbook. In fact, it almost seems to actively defy it.
And that is the mission for today's deep dive. We're pulling from a whole stack of surgical literature to map out what you could call the danger zones. We're talking about the critical variations in the ducts, the arteries, and the organ itself that can turn a standard case into a vasculobiliary disaster.
Which, let's be honest, is the one complication that keeps surgeons awake at night. A bile duct injury. It changes a patient's life forever.
Absolutely. So before we start dissecting that danger, I have to drop the mandatory disclaimer. We are analyzing medical literature and anatomical data here. This is all for educational reference. It does not replace your local hospital protocols, your guidelines, or most importantly, your clinical judgment in the OR.
A very important distinction. And the reason we're reading this map so closely is because of the data. The sources are all screaming one thing.
Which is what?
That anatomical variation isn't some rare anomaly. It's a major root cause of surgical injury.
I was really struck by the numbers on that. We all learn this concept of textbook anatomy, but the notes say that's actually, a luxury?
It's a coin flip. Seriously. Some series suggest up to 50% of individuals have some kind of significant variation in their biliary tree or vasculature.
Half.
Up to half. So if you walk into the OR, assuming your patient matches that diagram you saw in med school, you're statistically wrong about half the time.
That completely redefines normal. So let's try to navigate this systematically. We should probably cover the organ anomalies first, then the cystic duct variants,
Which is the primary trap.
then the vascular minefield, and finally the safety protocols you need to survive it all. So let's start with the gallbladder itself.
Sure.
To most people, it's just a pear. Simple. But the literature suggests even that shape can be a bit of a visual lie.
Oh, definitely. The classic pear is what we hope for. But the variations here are so treacherous because they mess with your depth perception. Take the Phrygian cap, for instance.
Seems historical.
It is, named after those French Revolution hats. But surgically, it's a fold. The fundus, the top of the gallbladder, folds over onto the body.
And on pre-op imaging, that can look like a mass, right?
Very often. It creates a pseudotumor appearance. But the real danger is intraoperative. That fold completely distorts the anatomy. It can hide Hartmann's pouch and, more importantly, Callow's triangle.
So you think you're dissecting on the gallbladder surface?
But you're not. Because of that fold, you're digging dangerously close to the common bile duct or even the hepatic artery. It just erases your margin of error.
Wow. Okay, what about the internal structure? I saw mentions of septate or diverticular gallbladders.
The hiders. These have internal walls or little outpouchings. They're notorious for two things. They hide stones, which means you get incomplete clearance.
And the second thing?
They distort the infundibulum, the funnel. When the gallbladder doesn't taper smoothly, finding the true origin of the cystic duct becomes a guessing game. You might mistake the main duct for the cystic duct because the geometry is all wrong.
And then there are the positional nightmares. The ectopic or left-sided gallbladder.
It's rare, but so disorienting, it sits to the left of the falciform ligament.
I can't even imagine. That must completely break your standard setup.
Completely. Your laparoscopic ports are all wrong, your instruments are crossing. But the biggest issue is that your landmarks are gone. You can't rely on the usual relationships.
So what do?
You have to reorient completely. Use fixed points like liver segment 4. If you stick to your muscle memory on a left-sided case, you are going to get lost.
Okay, so rule 1. Don't trust the organ's shape or position. Now, let's get to the highest stakes area, the junction, the cystic duct. This feels like the part of the map where someone wrote, "Here be dragons."
This is absolutely the critical junction. This is where the clip goes. If you get this wrong, you've just converted a day case surgery into a complex biliary reconstruction.
And again, the normal baseline, that nice simple lateral insertion, is only there about half the time.
If you're lucky.
So let's talk about what the sources call the hidden traps.
The most deceptive one is probably the medial insertion or the spiral course. We see this in maybe 10 to 18% of cases.
And that's where the duct doesn't just plug into the side.
Exactly. It spirals, so it winds around the common hepatic duct, either in front or in back, and inserts on the medial side, the left side.
I can see the trap there. If you're coming from the right and you're dissecting.
You see a tube. Your brain is conditioned to see a cystic duct entering laterally, so you clip it. But because of that spiral, you may have just clipped the common hepatic duct.
Oh, man.
You've truncated the main biliary tree. The only way to catch it is to dissect until you see the true funnel. If that duct seems to disappear behind the main one, you're not done. You have to follow it.
Then there's the parallel or low insertion. This one seems almost designed to cause a Strasbourg E injury.
It's insidious. Happens in about 9% of people. The cystic duct runs right alongside the common hepatic duct, sometimes for centimeters, and they're often bound in the same sheath of tissue.
So visually it can look like one thick, single tube.
Or you see the cystic duct, but you don't realize how fused it is to the main duct wall. The danger is dissecting too low. You chase that duct down, and you risk clamping across the common bile duct itself.
The source is warned that dissecting that shared sheath is incredibly risky.
It is. You're trying to peel two delicate tubes apart. The advice is usually to stop chasing it. If you've confirmed the cystic duct high up, clip it high. Don't chase it down to the pancreas.
And the opposite problem, a really short duct.
A short or high insertion. The tenting phenomenon. About 6% of cases. The duct is basically non-existent, maybe less than 5 millimeters long.
So when you retract the gallbladder,
You pull the common hepatic duct right into your field. It tense up. And if you put a clip on what you think is a short cystic duct, you're actually clipping across the main hepatic duct.
it sounds like whether the duct is too long, too short, or spirals, the lesson is always, don't trust the first tube you see.
Never. And don't assume that just because you're close to the gallbladder, you're safe. A long, thin cystic duct can trick you into dissecting way down into the danger zone while you think you're still up high.
Okay, so the plumbing is a mess, but we have to layer on the fuel lines. The vasculature. The source has made a really powerful point here. Vascular injury is often just the prelude to biliary injury.
It's the domino effect. It's almost never, oops, I cut an artery. I cut an artery, the field filled with blood, I panic, I clamped blindly, and now I've crushed the bile duct.
So identifying the artery correctly is actually a bile duct safety measure.
100%. Control the blood, protect the bile. Now, normally, the cystic artery is in Cowles' triangle, coming off the right hepatic artery. But then you meet the caterpillar hump.
Moynihan's hump. I love the name, but the anatomy sounds just nasty.
It's a vivid visual for a good reason. It's a tortuous, looping right hepatic artery that looks like a caterpillar's back, arching way up, very close to the gallbladder neck.
So you have the main blood supply to the right lobe of the liver sitting exactly where the cystic artery is supposed to be.
And it mimics it. That's the trap. It looks just like a really large cystic artery.
And if you click that,
You've caused right hepatic lobe ischemia. You've killed the right liver. The rule of thumb from the experts is simple. Size matters. If the cystic artery looks unusually large, you stop. You assume it's the hepatic artery until proven otherwise.
that's a great heuristic. What about its position? The anterior cystic artery.
Yeah, that occurs in up to 15% of cases. Instead of being tucked away safely in the triangle, it runs right across the front of the cystic duct.
Making it super vulnerable when you're skeletonizing the duct.
Exactly. You're stripping tissue to clear the duct, you don't see the vessel, and you hook it. An avulsion. It tears. And now you have brisk bleeding in a tight space, and we're right back to that blind clamping nightmare.
I also saw a warning about double arteries.
The false security variant. You find an artery, you clip it, you think you're done. But 10 to 15% of people have a second one. If you don't look for it, you tear it later when you're taking the gallbladder off the liver bed.
So the vascular strategy is expect the artery to be anywhere and never, ever clamp in a pool of blood.
Never. Pressure, suction, irrigation. Clear the view first. If you can't see the source, you do not throw a clip, period. Bleeding almost always stops with pressure, which gives you time to think. Blind clamping is just Russian roulette with the bile duct.
We've covered the immediate danger zones, but the notes also zoom out a bit to the broader tree. Extrahepatic ducts and these ducts of Luschka.
Right. This is about understanding the liver's drainage as a whole system. For cholecystectomy, the main thing is Luschka.
The accessory ducts.
They're these tiny little channels connecting the liver bed directly to the gallbladder. They completely bypass the main tree.
Like a little back door.
Exactly. And they're so easy to miss. You take the gallbladder out, the main duct looks pristine, the cystic duct cleft is perfect. But if you didn't seal off a Luschka duct, that patient is coming back with a bile leak.
The so-called perfect operation that fails.
It's incredibly frustrating. If you see bile leaking from the liver bed after the gallbladder is out, you have to suture it. You can't just hope it stops on its own.
And then rarely, there's the ultimate nightmare. An aberrant hepatic duct draining right into the cystic duct.
Into it. So if you ligate the cystic duct,
You obstruct an entire sector of the liver. You think you're closing a branch, but you're actually blocking a main drain.
and that leads to segmental atrophy, cholangitis, a huge problem.
So we've basically just painted a picture of a complete minefield. The map is unreliable, the shapes shift, there are hidden traps everywhere. How do surgeons navigate this? The outline points to one gold standard.
The critical view of safety, the CVS.
This isn't just about being careful, right? This is a formal protocol.
It's a mandate, popularized by Strasbourg. It's designed to remove the guesswork. It requires 3 specific criteria to be met before you clip or cut anything.
Okay, walk us through them.
1, the hepatocystic triangle must be cleared of all fat and fibrous tissue. You have to be able to see the liver bed through it. It has to be a window.
Number 2.
The lower third of the gallbladder has to be dissected off the liver plate. You need to see daylight behind the organ.
And 3, this is the mantra, right?
This is everything. 2, and only 2. Structures should be seen entering the gallbladder, the cystic duct and the cystic artery. Not 1, not 3, only 2.
Why is that specific count so vital?
Because it forces you to do a negative identification. If you see 3 structures, you stop. If you see one big, thick structure, you stop.
Yeah.
You literally cannot achieve the critical view if you're accidentally dissecting the common hepatic duct. It forces you to prove the anatomy before you cut.
It creates a visual failsafe. If you can't get that view, you are forbidden from clipping.
Absolutely.
But what if you can't get it? You know,
Huh?
terrible inflammation, scarring, just a hostile abdomen. What does the prudent surgeon do then?
Then you do not proceed. That's where real surgical judgment kicks in. You use technology, you do an intraoperative cholangiogram and IOC, get an x-ray of the ducts.
Don't guess.
Never guess. And if you still can't see, you change the plan. You could do a subtotal cholecystectomy, leave the dangerous part of the gallbladder behind, take out the stones, and close. Or you convert to an open surgery.
The goal is a safe patient.
Not a laparoscopic trophy. A subtotal cholecystectomy is a win if it prevents a bile duct injury.
We have unpacked a massive amount of anatomy here. So if we were to boil all this down for the listener, the surgeon's scrubbing in for a case tomorrow, what's the headline?
The headline is that the textbook is, for all intents and purposes, a lie. Or at least it's just an average.
Yeah.
Anatomical variation is the rule, not the exception.
So you have to anticipate the Phrygian cap, expect the spiral duct, and look for the caterpillar hump.
And you have to enforce the critical view of safety. 2 and only 2 structures. It is the only reliable way to safeguard against the chaos of variation.
I want to leave everyone with one final thought, something to really carry into the OR.
Okay, I would say this. Skepticism is your best surgical instrument. Treat every large cystic artery as if it's the hepatic artery until you prove it isn't. Treat every cystic duct as if it's the common bile duct until the critical view proves it isn't.
The most dangerous assumption you can make
Is that your patient is normal.
that is a powerful takeaway. Assume the worst until the anatomy proves the best.
Exactly. Vigilance saves bile ducts.
That brings us to the end of this deep dive. We hope this roadmap, or maybe this guide to reading the real map, helps you navigate your next case with a bit more clarity.
And if you found this useful, please share it, send it to a resident, a colleague, your surgical team. These details are the difference between a routine day and a disaster, so let's spread the knowledge.
And we will be posting visuals of these variants, the spiral ducts, Moynihan's hump on our social channels and on YouTube, because honestly, you really need to see these to believe them.
Definitely check those out. Seeing the caterpillar hump just once will make sure you never miss it in real life.
Thanks for listening. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay safe. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Surgical Edge podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Help us grow and deliver even more relevant surgical content by pressing the support button. Your contribution truly makes a difference. And don't forget to share with us your advice, feedback, and the topics you would like us to include.